Andersen.
Alright you guys, I'm not a guy for throwing parts at cars when you're trying to figure out issues, but I think this might be the one case where we should. Welcome back to the channel, Andersen, and welcome back to the silver C55, the OG of the channel. Now, we've done a ton of work on this thing in the recent videos, basically whole ignition system, fuel pump. I'll be doing the sender initiator in a short time from now, figuring out what I exactly want to do on that. But anyways, this thing is very fresh. I've done so much work to this car, the fuel rails, injectors, everything. I don't know, a lot of stuff. So it's still having a weird issue where I'll just be driving, and the warmer it gets, the more it'll start having a weird like rev hang issue. It'll basically, when I decelerate, it'll want to stick at like 1200 RPM, then it'll kind of fluctuate down to 900. Sometimes it'll start spiking back up. And what can cause that in cars, especially in the symptoms I have of not happening when it's cold and then happening as soon as it gets warm, is a crank position sensor. And the crank position sensor is a funny thing on these cars because it doesn't really throw any error codes, anything like that. It just causes weird symptoms. Could be no start when hot, could be no start at all, could be idle low, could be idle high, could be just weird stuff in general. And it's hard to trace and hard to track down. And my car has 162,000 miles on it, and still the original one that's in there. So I think it's time we give it a shot. I have one that I've had sitting on deck since I bought these cars because that was one of the common things that I started researching when I first got it, of like everyone is saying, oh, the crank position sensor is gonna go, have it on deck. So anyways, I've had this car for about 40,000 miles now, and I've had it the whole time ready. So I guess it's time we finally bust it out. And I think as well, I'll probably change our camshaft position sensor too, just because that is also likely original to the car. So it's getting up there. It's time to take care of some of these things, and why not? I drive it so hard. I like to have fun with it. I don't want to get stranded anywhere when I'm trying to go out and have fun driving it. So I'd rather just do them. They're cheap. Crankshaft position sensor. I'm going to start saying CPS, guys, even though that has a connotation that's negative having to do with kids, but CPS, not Child Protective Services. Crank position sensor. It's a little tricky to get to, but I think it should be okay on mine because I've done some work back there. Just got to move our oil catch can lines. But yeah, that one's a little difficult. This one is super easy. So let's just get to it. See what I find. All right, and first I got to rummage through our parts galore over here. That's my C55 box right there, so I'll get that out of there in a second. If you've been curious what happened to the automatic trans that I pulled out of the Mars Red C55, that I'm pretty sure it's still good, just needs a seal or just to be gone through to be sure, but it's sitting in here. Maybe it'll be used for a future project, or I might just refresh it and keep it on deck. Alright guys, found it. Pretty sure this is a OEM one from Germany. Part number for you. So yeah, let's take it out of here, see what we got. It's funny guys, I have a lot of like moments of nostalgia working on this car. I've just had it for so long now. It's definitely the longest car I've ever owned, and I've literally hung on this since I bought it. This is probably in one of the first FCP Euro packages I ever ordered. Probably had this in it, so crazy. Been hanging on to it for a while. Alright guys, well here it is. This is in fact the OEM one, made in Germany, and the OEM ones don't really have part numbers on them. Bottom of it. Sometimes they're different, like on the aftermarket one. Sometimes it doesn't have the exposed little, I don't know what that is, if it's a magnet or what it is, but sometimes they're not exposed, sometimes they are. I had issues with ones that I ordered with for my E420 when I was doing the manual swap on that car. We accidentally pinched a wire and I had to get a replacement. And that was a whole debacle trying to find the right one. But anyways, this should be correct. So basically just one, I think like E8 bolt holding it in. I'll have to do some trickery to not drop the bolt somewhere. And maybe use my paper towel trick to get the bolt back in there without dropping it. But yeah, let's get that out of there. Alright guys, well, oh man. I understand why people have complained about these on the M113s and specifically on the C55s. That is going to be a tight squeeze. Oh boy. Alright. Alright, you guys, here we go so far. By the way, if anyone's curious, oil catch can line routing. This is how it's set up. This one goes from passenger side breather. This is for the smaller driver side breather, and then this is for the big wide open throttle breather on the driver's side valve cover. Anyways, and then that just goes to the inlet and then returns outlet back there in the throttle body. I took off the AN line right there because it was gonna make it even more difficult to have this loosened up just in case to give us a little room. But man, this is going to be tight. Holy crap. Alright guys, I got the connector off. It's not too bad now that I can fit my hand on there, and it's not as far down as it looked like it was. Anyways, my socket is on there now. It is an E8, so I'm going to try to get something on there and crack that loose. Okay, now, what do I want to do here? I think I'm going to try to get it out by hand, to be honest. Try to give us a few more spins. Okay. Let these do the magic. Maybe. Oh boy, that's tight. Slow and steady. Ow. Got it. Alright, keep that safe. Actually, I might even try to, we'll see. If I got a bolt the same size, I might try to replace it. We'll see. Alright, hopefully this thing's not stuck in there. It's a little sticky. Oh boy, oh, yeah, this thing is done, guys. Ew. Alright, that thing is cooked. I mean, I could do an ohm reading on it, but yeah, I think it's safe to say, guys, it's lived its life. It's time to move on. Alright guys, well, not much else to do. Just throw this one back in, start the car, see what happens. Alright guys, I looked around for another bolt that I had laying around possibly, but it's kind of a unique one, so I'm just going to stick with it. Going in by hand right now. Alright guys, took a second attempt. I just had to reposition the crankshaft position sensor a little bit. It was basically just a little bit off axis, so just straighten it out. And now I pretty much got that bolt in there, almost all the way seated with my fingers. Alright, okay. Now our tool. And that was not very tight, to be honest, so be gentle. All right, done. Alright guys, last step, don't forget to plug in the harness. See if you guys can hear the satisfying click. Did you hear it? Anyways, connector's on. Alright, moving on. I'm actually going to adjust my fuel pressure height right now, because since I have this undone, might as well. It's kind of bothering me, it's facing too much down. Hard to see sometimes. Alright guys, that takes care of things. Everything is buttoned back up. I'm not going to drive it right now. I'll drive it tomorrow with you guys on my way to work and back home. I am going to pick up a camshaft position sensor tomorrow as well. But I'll do that after the fact of changing this. So we'll find out if this solves my rev hang issue tomorrow, which will be about 5 seconds for you guys. Wish me luck. Alright you guys, good morning. I'm on my way to work right now. Let's go ahead. Fire this thing up. I just got to double check we got no leaks from retightening up our AN lines, etc. Yeah. Okay, should be good. Good. Let me double check I put everything back. Yes. Okay. Let's go ahead and fire this thing up. Get on our way. Alright guys, well, on the way to work right now. Normally, like I said, it'll start happening once it's warm. So we're about a little ways from being warmed up right now. Aside from the little revving stuff, the car was always driving pretty normal, so just have to keep an eye on it. See if we made any changes with that crankshaft position sensor change. as bad, but that kind of seemed like it did it right there. Still doing it. Man, what in the world is that? Well, guys, we officially didn't fix it, so oh well, I guess it was worth a shot. Check back later. Alright guys, it's later on in the day. Just stopped by the post office and about to head home for a little bit. I ordered a camshaft position sensor that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on, but I just feel like changing it because I had a free $40 to use from AutoZone, so I got the Bosch one that's lifetime warranted like I did on the C55. But anyways, I got nothing else for this one. We don't have a solution for this. From what I am talking about with a few buddies, shout out to those of you that have been trying to help me figure out what this is, but it sounds like it might just be in the programming itself for these cars. Like, I don't know, maybe it's something to do with emissions or something, but I don't know what exactly, and it really doesn't affect anything about the car. It just is kind of an annoyance. So I don't know, I guess I just have to chalk it up to that. It's bugging me that I don't think it ever was a thing before I let the car sit, but I can't 100% say that for sure. So who knows, maybe it was happening a bit before and I just never really paid it any attention, but I feel like I would. So who knows, but it's running great. I'm so happy I've done all the little maintenance on it. It's cool to have the feeling of, like, for this car specifically again, to get excited the night before you're going to work because you know you get to wake up and drive it in the morning. That's a really good feeling to have. So I'm happy with it. And if it has to rev a little bit to stay happy, then that's okay. We rev it out quite a bit anyway, so I think for now we'll just end the video with a little bit of a drive. It's a really nice day out right now. The roads are still a little bit wet, but it's actually really nice out. It's almost 60 degrees. Clouds are clearing out of the sky. Can't complain for January, especially with the cold weather we started the month with. And yeah, having a day where it's nice to drive is always a plus in Washington in the winter. So let's go have some fun before we close out the video. out, guys. That thing is so... It's revving up to like almost 2,000 RPM. That has to be something. That's something's going on. I gotta figure it out. The car is running fine, but that is not supposed to be happening. Definitely did not happen before. Like this is just until I let off the clutch and it starts idling down. I don't know. It's weird. Still drives good though. I still can't get over this new tune from Josh. It's crazy. Like the torque is so much different with all the torque limits being removed. It's like night and day difference. It's so crazy. Alright, you guys, back home. It really has turned out to be a beautiful day. I need to get all these things cleaned up. My never-ending phrase that you guys always hear. Someday. But yeah, this thing looks good. I have been toying around with the idea. You guys know I picked up the Super wheels before with the idea of throwing those on this car and moving these wheels onto the C55. But I don't know. I feel like both of the wheels suit the cars pretty well. I just figured it'd be something different to try, but maybe the Super wheels would look good on this thing. I'm not the biggest fan of 19s, you guys know. That's why I kind of want to switch to 18s for that car, but I don't know. Something to think about. Now, guys, as far as the revving issue goes, I have no idea. I'm going to have to keep talking it out amongst my peers here, and I don't know, my only other idea could be MAF related, or it's some vacuum leak that I'm not aware of. But if that was the case, it would be happening all the time. It wouldn't just happen sporadically. Vacuum leak is going to be present all the time. So maybe MAF. Maybe it's worth swapping out the red C55's MAF with this one just to see if that changes anything. So maybe I'll try that before I head back to work. Alright guys, well, I got inspired. Figured it's worth a shot. I got time to do it real quick, so I'm going to swap out the MAF that was off of the Mars Red C55 onto this thing. My intake setup, you don't know, custom, I don't know. Go back and watch the video. It'll help you understand what's going on here. But yeah, I'm going to check these clamps back here as well. Might as well while I'm down here. And we'll see. Alright guys, and those that haven't seen, by the way, this is modified MAF. I'm putting in a regular one that hasn't had the screen delete on it. This is a nice little mod you can do for your cars. Kind of increases throttle response. I don't think it does anything for horsepower, but just makes the car a little more peppy. So I've had this on for a long time now. But anyways, let me throw the other one in. All right, that was way more of a pain than it normally was. I had to take off some of the other pieces of it, but anyways, go fire it up. so bright out here. Sorry guys, it's pretty hard to see some of this stuff. It was hard to see when I was working. Alright, well, I'll catch you guys on the road. Alright guys, well, it's doing it even worse now. So I don't know if that has to do with the map, but it is the only thing we just changed. Super strange. Try to show you guys once I stop, but it's basically like revving up to 2,000 RPM now and going, and then I have to basically like depress the clutch and let it out slowly to get it to stop. So that's right there. I let the clutch out slowly, and it lets me go back to idle. So that's definitely different than before. Super weird. I don't know what the heck to think now. So weird, you guys. It's probably best if I hook it up to DOS once we get back home and just see if we have any error codes or any type of events or anything, but I'm stumped for now guys, so I'll catch you back home later. Alright guys, well, I'm back home from work and I don't really have any good news, and actually something I found has me a bit concerned. So I figured because of the way it reacted changing the MAF, and I was messing around with the intake setup, I wanted to double check, so I pulled everything off, throttle body off, etc., and started digging into things. And I noticed when I took my MAF out that this little plate is actually supposed to be a cover on this, and it's gone. I don't know where it is, and which means it probably got sucked into the motor. So there's that. Try to look in the intake. I try to use a mirror, look through the intake. I can't see anything anywhere. I don't know where that would end up if that made it through somewhere. Chances are it would just get chomped up and spit out. But still, that is super strange. This is actually the MAF that I put from, I think I put it back in the trunk of that thing, but when I got the C55, the red C55, I found that that plate was actually loose on that MAF. So I kind of clipped it back down and I felt it seat into place, but I'm guessing this is kind of like an adhesive that's sitting on here, so none of this is corroded, thankfully. But it's like a glue that holds that plate on, and I don't really know what that plate does for the MAFs, or if it has any like connectivity responsibility to it, but it is quite strange and a bit alarming that that is not on there. And it makes me think that, okay, well, if that happened, this MAF is kind of going bad, and then I put the other one on from the C55 that also had that plate off and could be going bad, that maybe I have two bad MAFs in a row. But it's just, I don't know, guys. MAFs are a weird thing, and I feel like it's a common thing that people just throw as a part and doesn't, I don't know. In this scenario, it very well could be. Maybe I should just order one for the sake of having it crossed off the list, but that gets expensive when you start doing a part throwing competition at a car trying to solve a problem. I scanned the car. I'm updating this newer scanner but I used my MB scanner and no codes. Last time I was on DOS, no codes. So again, it's very strange, and I'm not really sure what to make of things right now, to be honest. Which kind of sucks. I wish I had a better answer right now, but there's just no clear answer in my mind right now. But hopefully, as I kind of dig through things, maybe something will present itself. I mean, this is obviously something, but it doesn't necessarily explain what's going on as far as the symptoms go. My other thought was that maybe the throttle body seal had gone bad. It doesn't look like it failed, but I'll definitely reseal that, of course, when I get the throttle body back on. And then the other thing that is a possible culprit, and something that I also have to consider, is this throttle body, is old. And a long time ago, when I had the coolant little connection up there fail, it sprayed coolant everywhere, and I didn't even think about it, but it definitely dripped down onto this thing. How much? Probably not much, but still enough. You can kind of see some of the residue from it. And coolant has a very good power of corroding things when it gets stuck to them. So you can see like that gunk down there. It definitely looks like just dirt and debris, but also dried up coolant. Some right there on the little clasp. So I'm curious. I don't know anything about rebuilding these or what's inside of them, so I think I'm gonna go watch some videos and try to figure out what's involved with these. If I can just pop these these metal clips off and pull this plate off, or if I need to drill out. It kind of looks like there's a little rivet in there, so maybe that needs to be drilled out. I'll need to go research around, but sometimes people describe these things going bad and causing kind of similar symptoms to what I had, but with the way that it was driving, I get home, switch the MAF, and then it gets way worse. It just kind of makes me think that my MAF was going bad, but not that bad. And then the MAF that I took off of the red C55, because I guess I did rev it up and stuff, but I never drove it. I'm so confused, guys. I don't know. I'll check back later. I'm gonna do some research. Alright guys, I took apart the other MAF as in C55 just because I wanted to take a look and I wanted to show you guys as well. This is a little plate that sits on there, and it has like what feels kind of like butyl tape, or you know, the little adhesive. Good news is this has nothing to do with conductivity or connectivity or any kind. It's just plastic. It's just a seal for this side. Obviously you prefer it on there so that all the electronics in here stay safe, but this is also gel covered, so it's not like anything can get onto the board really from that side. So I don't know what to make of things, but I figured I should show you guys that at least. Alright guys, I think I'm going to close out this video here. I know it's kind of a cliffhanger, but I don't want to make the video too long, because in reality it was just more so showing you guys how to do the crankshaft position sensor, and that job is done. We tried what we could to solve our issue, but I think it's going to need a little bit more diagnosis, and I'm going to make it a separate video for you guys on Friday. I'm diving into things right now with Josh, so I'll keep you guys posted. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you got some ideas, and hopefully I have a solution by the time I see you guys on Friday. So enjoy. Thank you as always for watching. Peace.